country of the upright man is a dream come true. To President Traore, the reincarnation of Thomas Sankara
Is Ibrahim Traore a Western puppet? While many leaders might be labeled as such without substantial evidence, Traore's actions and the public's response suggest otherwise. Over the years, his contributions to Burkina Faso have been significant. The widespread public demonstrations urging him to extend his tenure highlight the trust and support he has garnered from the people. These actions strongly indicate that Traore is anything but corrupt. Recently, Traore has been vocal about the need to eradicate corruption. However, some speculate that his speeches might be responses to offers attempting to coerce him into becoming a puppet for foreign interests. These speeches could be interpreted as Traore's firm rejection of any such proposals, making it clear that he cannot be bought or manipulated to act against Africa's interests. Yet, the question remains, is this truly the entire story? Let's find out. Corruption is a pervasive issue that has stymied economic and social development in many African countries, including Burkina Faso. This persistent problem undermines the potential for growth and equitable progress, affecting millions of lives. Recently, Captain Ibrahim Traore, the leader of Burkina Faso, delivered a speech that tackled this issue head-on, drawing significant public and international attention. His tenure, recently extended amidst widespread public support, has brought increased scrutiny and speculation. The timing of his focus on corruption, along with his powerful denunciation of unethical practices, raises several important questions. Why is Traore emphasizing corruption now? Could it be that he has been offered opportunities to become corrupt, and his speech is a subtle yet firm indication of his refusal to succumb to such pressures? Captain Ibrahim Traore's leadership emerged during a tumultuous period in Burkina Faso's history. The nation has struggled with political instability, economic challenges, and the pervasive threat of corruption. Traore, a military officer turned political leader, initially came to power under circumstances that were far from ordinary. His rise was marked by a strong desire among the populace for change and a new direction, free from the shackles of corrupt practices that had long hindered the country's development. In his recent speech, Traore did not merely scratch the surface of the corruption issue, he delved deep into its roots and ramifications. His words resonated with many, reflecting a shared frustration and a collective yearning for integrity and governance. He didn't just highlight the problems, he called for concrete actions and systemic changes to eradicate corruption from the fabric of Burkinabe society. This call to action has reverberated across the nation, igniting a renewed sense of hope and determination among citizens. However, this sudden and intense focus on corruption has also sparked speculation. Some wonder if Traore's emphasis is a response to personal experiences and pressures he has faced since assuming power. Has he been confronted with corrupt offers? Is his speech a veiled declaration of his stance against succumbing to such temptations? Captain Ibrahim Traore's recent speech on corruption was a masterclass in rhetorical and moral leadership, addressing one of the most persistent and detrimental issues facing Burkina Faso, and more broadly, the African continent.
Would you like to invest in a platform that will help digital assets be the future? Yes, much like BlackRock of cryptocurrencies? Or let me ask you this, can you invest safely in digital assets the way you do with stocks in a diversified way? With DeFi technologies, this has become a reality. Even though digital assets like cryptocurrencies are volatile, DeFi Technologies has created a platform where investors can invest in a diversified range of digital assets. In the same way as you invest in exchange-traded funds, which have a collection of different stocks for risk management, DeFi Technologies allows you to invest in a collection of digital assets with a single investment. But what should you do when you know about this? Invest in digital assets. DeFi Technologies is offering? Well, no. When you love a product, you should not buy it, but invest in its company. Already, DeFi Technologies has generated $93 million in revenues in the last 6 months. Out of this, $55 million is pure profits. And that's not it. The company knows it's shaping the future of digital assets, and therefore, it has started a buyback program. A $300 million company doing this reveals it's loaded with cash that it can use anytime, and this buyback will boost its stock price. Yet now the stock is undervalued because people don't know about it. And this gives you leverage, which is time sensitive. This platform is allowing you to turn risky digital assets into reliable and safe digital asset buckets, which is the future. Australia has just opened its Bitcoin ETF, and when Hong Kong did it, it had the largest cash inflows in one day yesterday. Yes, the world is choosing digital assets like cryptocurrencies, but only if they are made secure, which DeFi Technologies is doing. That's why CNBC just featured DeFi Technologies as a name investors should have eyes on. Remember, DeFi Technologies is being traded under the ticker DEFTF. Just 1 month ago, on May 10th, the stock was being traded at 60 cents, and today, its price is $1.6. That's a 162% increase in 1 month. In 1 year, the price has increased by 2,106%, from $0.060 to $1.6. You just need to understand that the stock is still highly undervalued. Just for an idea, see Coinbase price of $249.8, and it's only a crypto exchange. The point is, DeFi Technologies at $1.6 is highly unnatural, and the market will adjust the price, boosting it with time. Experts are projecting a price of $3 in the next 2 to 3 months and $7 to $8, the price at which more people will know about the stock, and that would be the point where the price will shoot up. That's why Anthony Pompliano, one of the most famous investors in crypto, whose business is to make investments in the right asset, is a shareholder of DeFi Technologies. He has said DeFi Technologies is the stock he would pitch because of its high undervaluation and the services it offers. That says it all. Take advantage of this great opportunity by clicking on the link in the description to get started immediately.
Captain Traore's critique of corruption was both broad and specific, addressing systemic issues and individual culpability. He pointed out how corruption has become ingrained in the leadership structures across many African countries, including Burkina Faso. Traore's denunciation was not limited to financial misdeeds, but extended to the abuse of power and position by leaders who prioritize personal gain over national development. He highlighted the various ways through which corrupt leaders perpetuate their hold on power. These include manipulating electoral processes, exploiting state resources, and forming unholy alliances with foreign powers to maintain their grip. By doing so, they not only betray the trust of their citizens but also undermine the potential for genuine democratic governance and economic development. Traore's speech was particularly scathing about the complicity of Western powers in sustaining corrupt regimes. He argued that many African leaders serve foreign interests rather than those of their people, perpetuating a cycle of exploitation that dates back to colonial times. This critique resonated strongly with an audience that is acutely aware of the historical and ongoing exploitation by external actors. The impact of Traore's speech on Burkinabe society has been profound. His bold denunciation of corruption has struck a chord with many citizens who have long suffered under the weight of corrupt practices. The speech has galvanized public opinion, leading to increased demands for transparency, accountability, and ethical governance. Traore's articulation of the societal costs of corruption was particularly effective. He painted a vivid picture of how corruption drains public resources, stunts economic growth, and exacerbates poverty and inequality. By connecting these broad economic impacts to the everyday experiences of ordinary Burkinabe, he made the issue of corruption tangible and urgent. Moreover, Traore's speech has had a ripple effect beyond Burkina Faso. In other African countries, where similar issues prevail, his words have been echoed by activists, journalists, and ordinary citizens calling for change. This regional impact underscores the potential for his leadership to inspire a broader movement against corruption across the continent. Here's a reminder to please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black culture, history, civilization, and identity. Let's continue now. One of the most powerful aspects of Traore's speech was his call to action. He urged citizens to not only speak out against corruption, but to actively engage in efforts to combat it. This call to action was both a challenge and an invitation, encouraging people to take responsibility for the future of their country. Traore emphasized the role of the youth in this struggle. He argued that young people with their energy, creativity, and idealism are uniquely positioned to drive the fight against corruption. By appealing directly to the younger generation, Traore aimed to foster a new wave of civic engagement and political activism. His call to action also included specific recommendations for institutional reforms. These included strengthening anti-corruption bodies, ensuring greater transparency in government transactions, and implementing stricter penalties for those found guilty of corruption. These concrete steps provide a roadmap for moving from rhetoric to action, making it clear that Traore's speech was not just about raising awareness, but about catalyzing real change. But what does this recent attention to corruption mean? Traore's intense focus on corruption has led to various speculations regarding his motives. Some observers believe that his speech may have been prompted by personal experiences of being offered corrupt deals. According to this view, his public denunciation is a way of signaling his refusal to succumb to such temptations and asserting his commitment to integrity. Others speculate that Traore's anti-corruption stance is a strategic move to consolidate his power and legitimacy. By positioning himself as a champion of ethical governance, he differentiates himself from past leaders and garners public support. This narrative suggests that Traore's emphasis on corruption is not only a moral position, but also a political strategy. Regardless of the underlying motives, Traore's speech has undeniably had a significant impact. It has brought the issue of corruption to the forefront of public discourse and galvanized a movement for change. Whether his focus on corruption is primarily driven by personal integrity, political strategy, or a combination of both, it is clear that Traore has struck a chord with many Burkinabe and has set the stage for potential reforms. Is there propaganda going on against him? Despite his clear and consistent denunciation of corruption, Traore has faced a barrage of allegations designed to undermine his credibility. One of the most persistent narratives is that he is in power due to the backing of Western powers, effectively branding him as a puppet leader. This allegation is not uncommon in African politics, where external influence is often suspected, particularly when leaders take strong stances against corruption or implement significant reforms. These allegations suggest that Traore's anti-corruption rhetoric is merely a facade, masking his true allegiance to foreign interests. Critics argue that his public speeches are a strategic attempt to distract from his supposed complicity in a broader scheme orchestrated by Western powers to maintain control over Burkina Faso's resources and political direction. Another angle of the propaganda against Traore focuses on his military background. Critics argue that his leadership is characterized by authoritarian tendencies, masked by his populist anti-corruption rhetoric. They claim that his extension in power, despite his initial reluctance, is indicative of a desire to establish a long-term hold on power, similar to many other African leaders who began with populist support but gradually entrenched themselves in autocratic rule. It is essential to highlight that Traore initially expressed a desire to step down, demonstrating a commitment to democratic principles. However, massive public protests against his resignation underscored the trust and hope that many Burkinabe placed in his leadership. These protests were not orchestrated by external forces, but were genuine expressions of the people's will, reflecting their desire for a leader who prioritizes integrity and transparency. The public's trust in Traore can be attributed to several factors. Firstly, his consistent messaging on the need for ethical governance has struck a chord in a country where corruption has been a major obstacle to development. Secondly, his calls for reforms in key sectors like agriculture, health, and education have provided a clear vision for national development, resonating with ordinary citizens who feel the impact of these issues daily. Traore's defensive stance is also evident in his proactive measures to increase transparency and accountability in governance. He has implemented policies aimed at enhancing the transparency of government transactions and has strengthened anti-corruption bodies to investigate and prosecute corrupt officials. These actions demonstrate his commitment to fighting corruption and countering the narrative that he is merely paying lip service to the issue. Furthermore, Traore has sought to engage directly with the public to reinforce his legitimacy and counter propaganda. Through town hall meetings, public forums, and social media, he has maintained an open line of communication with citizens, addressing their concerns and providing updates on his administration's efforts. This direct engagement helps to build trust and counter the misinformation spread by his detractors. Traore's defensive stance also includes highlighting his achievements and the positive changes he has brought about. He often points to the progress made in sectors like education and health, where reforms have begun to bear fruit. By showcasing tangible improvements, he aims to strengthen his position and demonstrate that his leadership is indeed making a difference. Despite the propaganda, Traore's defensive strategies have been effective in maintaining public support and countering negative narratives. His emphasis on transparency, direct engagement with the public, and visible reforms have helped to solidify his position as a leader committed to genuine change. To understand how the blame for him being corrupt is nothing but an insult, you need to know what he did for Africa. Captain Ibrahim Traore's leadership and his fervent fight against corruption have had a profound impact on Burkina Faso and potentially on the broader African continent. One of Traore's most significant impacts has been his ability to raise awareness about the pervasive issue of corruption and mobilize the public to take action. His speeches have not only highlighted the detrimental effects of corruption on the nation's development, but have also called on citizens to be active participants in the fight against it. This has resulted in a groundswell of public support and activism, creating a powerful movement for change. His ability to mobilize the public is also evident in the grassroots movements that have emerged in response to his calls for action. Citizens are increasingly organizing to hold local officials accountable, participating in anti-corruption campaigns, and advocating for reforms at various levels of government. This collective action is a testament to Traore's impact in fostering a culture of vigilance and responsibility. Traore's leadership has also been marked by a strong emphasis on reforms aimed at reducing Burkina Faso's dependence on foreign aid and promoting self-sufficiency. He has advocated for comprehensive changes in key sectors such as agriculture, health, and education, which are crucial for the nation's sustainable development. In agriculture, Traore has pushed for policies that support local farmers, enhance food security, and reduce reliance on imported goods. By promoting sustainable agricultural practices and investing in local infrastructure, he aims to build a more resilient and self-sufficient agricultural sector. This focus on agriculture is particularly significant, given that a large portion of the Burkinabe population relies on farming for their livelihoods. In the health sector, Traore has emphasized the importance of strengthening local healthcare systems and reducing dependence on foreign aid and medical supplies. He has championed initiatives to improve healthcare infrastructure, increase the availability of essential medicines, and train local healthcare professionals. These efforts are aimed at creating a robust healthcare system that can meet the needs of the population without excessive reliance on external assistance. Educational reform is another critical area where Traore has made a significant impact. He advocates for an education system that fosters independent thinking and innovation, rather than one that merely replicates foreign models. By emphasizing the need for a curriculum that is relevant to Burkina Faso's context and that empowers students to think critically and solve local problems, Traore aims to cultivate a generation of leaders who are equipped to drive the nation forward. And what is Traore's vision for the future? Captain Ibrahim Traore's vision for the future is rooted in the principles of unity, self-reliance, and integrity. He envisions a Burkina Faso that is free from the scourge of corruption, where leaders are held accountable, and where citizens are empowered to participate fully in the nation's development. His vision includes a united Africa that can resist external exploitation and chart its course. By fostering regional cooperation and solidarity, Traore aims to build a collective strength that can withstand the pressures of global economic and political dynamics. He believes that a united Africa, working together towards common goals, can achieve significant progress and assert its place in the global arena. Intellectual empowerment is a cornerstone of Traore's vision. He stresses the importance of education that promotes independent thinking, critical analysis, and innovative problem-solving. By equipping the younger generation with these skills, he hopes to cultivate a leadership that is capable of driving sustainable development and resisting the temptations of corruption. Furthermore, Traore's emphasis on self-sufficiency is not just about economic independence, but also about cultural and intellectual autonomy. He advocates for a return to African values and traditions that emphasize community, integrity, and resilience. This cultural renaissance is seen as a foundation for building a society that can navigate modern challenges while staying true to its roots. In the end, let's see Traore without the propaganda. Who is he? This way you will understand why he is willing to end corruption, even if it leads to criticism from the West of his character. Captain Ibrahim Traore's emergence as a prominent leader in Burkina Faso has been accompanied by a great deal of public interest and speculation. To truly understand who Traore is, it is essential to explore his background, his vision for the future, and the values that drive him. Traore is often seen as continuing the legacy of Pan-African leaders who fought for the liberation and unity of the continent. His leadership reflects the ideals of the Organization of African Unity (OAU), now the African Union (AU), which aim to foster solidarity among African nations and resist external exploitation. Traore's speeches and actions indicate a deep commitment to these Pan-African ideals, emphasizing the need for African unity and self-reliance. His vision for Burkina Faso and Africa is one of transformation and renewal. He envisions a continent free from the shackles of corruption and exploitation, where nations are governed by ethical leaders who prioritize the well-being of their citizens. Traore's vision includes a Burkina Faso that is economically self-sufficient, politically stable, and socially cohesive. This vision is not just about immediate reforms, but about laying the groundwork for long-term, sustainable development. Traore's commitment to this vision is evident in his policies and initiatives. He has consistently advocated for reforms that promote transparency, accountability, and inclusivity. His focus on sectors such as agriculture, health, and education reflects a holistic approach to development, recognizing that progress in these areas is essential for the overall well-being of the nation. Traore's call for African unity is not just rhetorical. It is reflected in his efforts to foster regional cooperation and solidarity. He has actively engaged with other African leaders to build alliances and promote collaborative initiatives. This approach aims to leverage the collective resources and strengths of African nations to address common challenges and achieve shared goals. At the heart of Traore's leadership is a philosophical and ethical framework rooted in integrity, accountability, and service. He often speaks about the importance of ethical leadership, where leaders prioritize the public good over personal gain. This ethical stance is reflected in his policies and actions, which consistently aim to promote transparency and combat corruption. Moreover, Traore's ethical framework is informed by a deep respect for African values and traditions. He often references the wisdom of African elders and the communal principles that have historically guided African societies. Traore aims to create a governance model that is both modern and rooted in the continent's rich cultural heritage. Traore's philosophical approach also includes a strong sense of social justice. He advocates for policies that address inequality and ensure that all citizens have access to essential services and opportunities. His focus on reforms in agriculture, health, and education is driven by a desire to create a more equitable society where everyone can thrive. Traore's commitment to this vision is evident in his policies and initiatives. He has consistently advocated for reforms that promote transparency, accountability, and inclusivity. His focus on sectors such as agriculture, health, and education reflects a holistic approach to development, recognizing that progress in these areas is essential for the overall well-being of the nation. Can the thought of Traore being a puppet ever cross an African person? Do you think anyone who knows a little about him can call him that? Let us know in the comment section what you have to say about such propaganda against him. Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If so, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We have decided to bring videos on something nobody talks about: the Black culture, civilization, history, and evidence about how glorious Blacks have been. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.